6th graders, we are still on our Unit 5, Rates and Ratios unit, and this lesson is on rates. Our learning target is being able to describe a rate and being able to determine the unit rate of any given rate. So we look at these right here, 32 miles per hour, 25 miles in 6 minutes, $54.50 for 5 chairs. These are all examples of rates. So you might want to write a couple examples of rates. And then here are some definitions that I want you to write down. A rate is a ratio that compares two quantities with different kinds of units. So we talked about ratios. Ratios can be the same units or they can be different units, but rates are comparing different units. So an example of a rate, 160 beats in 2 minutes, and all of these are examples of rates as well. And then a unit rate is when a rate is simplified so that it has a denominator of 1. So a unit is usually just 1, so meaning it's the rate of for one, it's however much it is or whatever it is for one of the item that you're talking about. So let's do some examples so that you can understand a little bit more. Steps for finding unit rate. We always want to write it as a fraction. We divide both the numerator and the denominator by the denominator, and then we compare. So if we look at this one, here's some good examples that you would want to include in your notebook. Desiree earns $280 in 40 hours. Find a rate that describes her pay per hour. What is her hourly rate? So if Desiree earns $280 in 40 hours, we can say $280 for 4 hours. We could also say $280 to 4 hours. So these are ratios because it's talking about money, like however much money to however many hours. This is also a rate. So rate and ratios kind of are interchangeable, but a rate is saying, yep, she made $280 in 4 hours. So her hourly rate, we have to write 280 over 4 because we first write it as a fraction. Then we divide both the numerator and the denominator by the denominator. So we divide both by 4. And the reason why we do that is because if we divide everything by the denominator, that means the denominator is always going to equal 1. So 4 divided by 4 is 1. And then we have 280 divided by 4. And we can use our calculator finally on this unit. So I'm going to do 280 divided by 4, and I get 70, which tells me that she makes $70 per hour. So that is her unit rate. Find the unit rate, or the unit price, if it costs $2 for 8 juice boxes. So $2 for 8 boxes. Sorry, that's my dog saying hello. So we do $2 over 8. So then I take, there she goes, finding out what she needs to be barking about, which is so important in her world, you know. $2 for 8 juice boxes. So we do divided by 8 because 8 is our denominator. So I know I'm going to end up with 1. And then in my calculator, I'm going to do 2 divided by 8. I'm not going to do 8 divided by 2. I'm going to do 2 divided by 8. And I get 0.25, which tells me that it is 25 cents per juice box, which makes sense because if it's $2 for 8, and if I accidentally did 8 divided by 2 and I got 4, well, it doesn't make sense because if it's $2 for 8, then why would it be $4 for 1? So we always have to ask ourselves if our answer is reasonable as well. All right, you try these ones, or these three. Try the A, B, and C, and then come back and check to make sure that you are understanding. So $300 for 6 hours, which means, and in order to determine which goes on the top and the bottom, I ask myself, what am I trying to find out? I want to try to find out how much money per hour. So when I say per whatever, per hour, that tells me the hour is going to be on the bottom. So $300 over 6, divide both by 6. So then I can take 300 divided by 6, and I get $50 for one. So then A would be $50 per hour. 220 miles on 8 gallons. So 220 miles for 8 gallons would be, remember we do 220 divided by 8, and I get 27.5 miles for 1 gallon. And then the unit price if a 4-pack of mixed fruit sells for $2.12. So this one we want to know how much it is for 1 pack. So I'm going to do my price on top, even though in my sentence 4 comes first, but I want to know price per pack because the unit price. So $2.12 over 4. So I do 2.12 divided by 4, and I get, so this is going to be 1, I get 0.53, so it would be 53 cents per pack. Because if it's a 4-pack for $2.12, then I would divide it out by 4, and that makes sense, 53 cents per pack. Okay, we can also compare different rates by finding the unit rate as well. So the prices of 3 different bags of dog food are given in the table. I'm going to try to go in here in case if it's a little blurry for you. Sometimes I know it's blurry when I have a table. 3 prices of 3 different bags of dog food are given in the table. Which size bag has the lowest price per pound? The 40-pound bag, the 20-pound bag, the 8-pound bag, or they're all the same. So I want to know how much it is per pound, which tells me I'm going to take the price over the pounds. So we have $49 for 40. We have $23.44 for 20, and we have $9.88 for 8. So now let's find the price per pound. So I'm going to take the price of each and divide it by how many pounds it is. So 49 divided by 40 is, I get 1.225. But because it's money, we have to round it to the nearest hundredth. So over here, 1.225. This is where I round it to. My 5 tells me that I have to go up because 5 is, it's 5 or greater, tells me I round the previous number up. So this is going to equal $1.23. So I'm going to write this right here. $1.23. Then we have 23.44 divided by 20, and we get 1.172 over 1. So we round 1.172. The 2 tells me that I keep the 7 the same. So this is going to be $1.17. So I already know that the 40-pound bag is not going to be the best deal because it's more expensive per pound. So now let's see if the 8-pound bag is a better deal. 9.88 divided by 8, and we get 1.235 over 1. The 5 tells me I have to round up, so $1.24. So now I can see that the 20-pound bag is the best deal. So I would pick B because $1.17 is less than the rest of them. All right, so this is just right here explaining exactly how to do the problem and how to round it. So here's B. And then, all right, so lastly, if we are given a problem with a rate and then we need to find a different rate, we need to find the unit rate in order to move on to find a different rate. So Lexi painted 3 faces in 12 minutes at the craft fair. At this rate, how many faces can she paint in 40 minutes? So we want to know how many faces she paints per minute in order for us to then figure out how many faces in 40 minutes. So then that tells me we have 3 faces in 12 minutes. We want to know how many faces in 1 minute. First, we have to figure that out. So 12 divided by 12 is 1. So I do 3 divided by 12, and I get 0.25, which basically means she does 1/4 of a face per minute. Now we want to know how many faces in 40 minutes. Well, I know 1 times 40 is 40, so then I'm going to do 25 hundredths times 40, and if I do that, I get 10 faces, which makes sense because if she does 1/4 of a face in a minute, we know that it's going to take her 4 minutes per face, and then 10 faces times 4 is 40 minutes. So 10 faces in 40 minutes. Sherry ran 4 miles in 20 minutes. At this rate, how long will it take her to run 10 miles? So we want to know how many minutes does it take her to do 1 mile, and then we go from there. So I'm going to set it up as 20 minutes in 4 miles. We want to know how long it takes her to do 1 mile. 4 divided by 4 is 1, so 20 divided by 4. So that means she's running 5 minutes for every mile. Dang, she's a fast runner. So then if it's 5 minutes for every mile and we want to know how long is it going to take her to run 10 miles, I know 1 times 10 is 10, so then I have to do the same up here, 5 times 10, so 50 minutes in 10 miles. Seriously, that would take me, if I ran for 50 minutes, I would probably only go like 3 to 4 miles. So wow, this is really impressive of her. Anyways, that is all I have for rates. Make sure that you have, I would say, both of these examples down, or at least one, so you have an example of that type of question. And then make sure you have your notes in class. Have a good night.